Hi, I'm Danielle Leitch, and you're joining us today for the Beyond the Click video series presented by More Visibility. I've been speaking with marketing leaders and business executives all across the globe relative to the fast-paced changes that we are seeing right now within the digital landscape and how marketing executives are keeping up with all of this. Today, I'm super excited to be joined by Bec Henrich, who I recently met at a conference in Austin, Texas, although she's based out of Europe. And I'm so glad to have you join me today, Bec. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit?
Thanks for having me, Danielle. I am Bec Henrich, CMO at Traction Complete. We help marketing and RevOps professionals clean, connect, and complete their data in Salesforce, which is so important right now with the evolution of things with AI. So I'm excited to talk a little bit about how things are changing with you today.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you and I were at a really interesting B2B conference hosted by Winter Research not that long ago. And there absolutely was so much dialogue around how agile we all need to be, either as individual contributor marketers or as leaders who are kind of driving an organization forward right now, due to the fact that this pace of change is like nothing I know I've seen in my career, and it doesn't seem like it's stopping. So, from your perspective, what do you think is the most important shift happening in marketing right now, but that many organizations might still be underestimating how important it is?
I think the interesting thing is, yeah, we talked about 6 weeks ago, and the amount of change that I've even seen in my team in that period of time is insane. Um, One thing I think people are going to quickly realize after not preparing for it is the level of governance, operational design, and data architecture that really needs to be um, a part of the way that you think of applying AI. Because at the end of the day, AI is just pulling from your different resources, your databases, your CRMs, your marketing automation platforms, any of your advertising platforms. And if any of the data within those specific systems are not accurate or connected to others to give context, your AI is just going to point you in the wrong direction. And so I think people are probably underestimating what type of operational design that they need to have when they are implementing AI.
That's that's an awesome point, and it's interesting because the data architecture and then the quality and accuracy of data has really been something that as marketing as a marketing agency, we've been standing on the hill kind of shouting around the importance of it for many, many years. Because how else are you going to validate ROI from all of these different, marketing efforts that you need to stitch together if you don't have quality of data? So it's really interesting that, you're leaning into that now in, the evolution of the architecture of AI for your organization. So I think for both of those reasons, if you have any question or concern around the quality of data or the accuracy of how you are collecting the data, and then the inability to stitch that data together, it sounds like at this point, you have to address it. There no longer is the opportunity to put it on the shelf. I that's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, and I think it's like the way that you think about data in marketing. It doesn't necessarily just apply to what you would traditionally think of, field values in Salesforce. It's also like the blog content that you create. That is data that gets consumed by AI and then fed back to you. And so I think it's just making sure that when you are using AI for your new processes, your content, your advertising, that it is not creating what people call like AI slop, rubbish in, rubbish out. And so I think it's really important to focus on the quality.
Great, good point. Switching kind of the conversation a little bit, still talking about AI, but now more so relative to how your prospects or clients are going to find you as a brand. So, as everything is being reshaped relative to discoverability, and then from a, let's say, B2B buyer, like evaluation of brands, how do you think the role of marketing visibility is evolving alongside that?
I think it's super interesting that when we think of LLMs, yes, they're new and they're what people are using more often these days in our field to discover and research new brands or products. I think one thing is to be quite aware of is discerning bias. In the same way, I guess SEO has always been. It's like people are playing the game to be able to get your content out there in front of people. And so it's really important that you understand what you need to do as a business to be able to show up, if it's in your traditional means on SEO, on search engines, or for AEO on LLMs.
Mhm.
The practices, at least within our team, has changed a little bit, but it's still relying on the same, like, fundamentals of SEO for years.
Mhm.
And so, like, that component of how people find you is not going away.
Right. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And, being in the SEO space myself for over 24 years, you're absolutely right. And I agree with you. There are some technical fundamentals, and then there are some brand content fundamentals that absolutely hold true in terms of how somebody is going to find you, regardless of where they are looking for you. And so I think there certainly are some differences relative to citations, right? And relative to consumer behavior. I think
Mhm.
as marketers, it'll be interesting to watch that from the behavioral standpoint. So just curious, kind of have you seen that in your own experiences? Any shifts in terms of how people now are searching, for your services or your organization's services relative to, prompting for it versus, maybe keyword searching for it?
We definitely have noticed. So, one of the things that we have on our website is when someone fills out a request for a demo, is like, how did you hear about us? We are definitely seeing more people quote Claude or ChatGPT in those resource areas, as well as your traditional like LinkedIn SEO kind of searches. And so, we are seeing it show up more obviously than we used to. And like, I think people are a little bit more, maybe educated to the differences between your product and another. Before they would have to, typically go and have a look at your website, go and look at someone else's website. If there was an aggregate for your, field, then they could go and look at comparisons there. But now LLMs can do the one-to-one comparison for you, so they come in a little bit more educated than they probably used to be. And so it's understanding how to speak to that behavior and understanding when you're getting that person on the phone for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a much more educated buyer, and being on that short list is so incredibly important.
Yes.
Because that's at that point, that's what they're really evaluating, right? They're evaluating who they've put on the short list rather than so upper funnel, and working their way down. So, there's a lot of different sized organizations, different sized budgets. That correlates to obviously the number of people on their marketing team and all the different disciplines that they might have. But if we're
Mhm.
just looking at or speaking to mid market marketing teams, they usually have to face all of this evolution and adapt super quick, but have very limited resources. So, where do you think CMOs or marketing leaders should be focusing their energy right now from the mid market area to stay competitive?
I truly believe that, and this comes a little bit from my background in demand gen, like that's where I grew up, that's where I came from, like making sure that your technology that you have, your systems are built to scale. Like, because at the end of the day, if you are a high growth business, you want to make sure that you are investing your dollars in the right place to grow. Um, you need to be able to track, like going all the way back to what we said at the start of like making sure that you understand the data to be able to clearly articulate the ROI is something you want to be building as you grow. You don't want to be patching systems together in order to make that happen when you're, you know, a much larger organization, because like, I think that's one area that people probably, don't focus on as much as they should.
Good point. And then, final question for you, Beck. As all of us as leaders, uh, managing teams, of a variety of skills, expertise, tenure in their position, and then opinions or perspectives about all of the artificial intelligence that's coming into the organization and how that influences their role or their day to day responsibilities, right? So, as we're all trying to manage this and get everyone on board, and in some cases, you've got individuals that are off and running and love it, and those are your AI ambassadors. And then you've got other individuals that are super hesitant, and in some cases, adverse to change or afraid of this change. So, what mindset or leadership principle, or even just advice, could you offer right now relative to so many of us as leaders with teams, having to navigate all of this?
What I would say is, yes, I think there's, like, even, you know, I don't know what I don't know, and there's that bit of fear of, like, maybe someone else is going to understand it or, get a hold and grapple some of these concepts with AI faster than me, and so, the main thing is just to stay curious. Our CRO's been on this mission with our entire, company of saying, "Hey, everyone, um, in order to learn, you need to be curious." And so, and that ability to be curious doesn't mean that you know things, you don't know everything. It means that you are wanting to learn, that you are looking and putting yourself out there to understand, not kind of closing yourself off to the potential. And so I think it's really important for us to stay open-minded, be curious, not be afraid, and take, maybe it's baby steps. Um, I think the thought of digging yourself in a hole and saying this is going away is not going to help you. It's not. So
Agreed.
you need to figure out a way to be able to enable teams to feel comfortable to try and fail. And so I think that's one of the things that stay curious, and not be afraid to fail
Yeah.
if the
I,
thing that
I,
you
I
believe
love
doesn't
what
work.
you just said, get your team comfortable to not be afraid to fail, because I think all of us moving forward with how fast things are changing, it's inevitable, right? It's going to happen. And so as a leader, to be able to kind of help your team to understand that's okay, as long as we pick ourselves up and keep moving forward and figure out a way to succeed. I think that's a great point. Beck, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. Really appreciate your time.
No worries. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. And for all of you, thank you so much for watching and listening. And please follow along with the Beyond the Click series presented by More Visibility as we continue to have excellent conversations like the one that we did today with marketing leaders across the globe. Thank you.